Have you ever noticed how some people just command attention, not because they boast about knowing everything, but because of the sheer power and precision of the way they talk? What if I told you that the words you utter every single day can either forge unbreakable bonds or silently, insidiously destroy them from within? In today's video, we're going to expose 7 things a truly intelligent, respected friend never says, grounded in rock-solid Stoic philosophy that will permanently revolutionize how you communicate. If you're serious about leveling up your conversations, dodging common communication landmines, and becoming the kind of person others genuinely respect, deeply trust, and actively seek out, you absolutely cannot afford to miss this. Before we dive headfirst into these game-changing insights, do yourself a massive favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Why? Because mastering these seemingly simple shifts in your speech can transform not just your friendships, but literally your entire life trajectory. Number 1. I already know everything about this. This is a phrase that an intelligent, respected friend would rather bite their tongue than utter, because it represents a dangerously closed mind and a fatally fixed mindset. 2 critical pitfalls Stoic philosophy passionately warns us against. Stoicism teaches us, with profound clarity, that true wisdom is not some static destination you arrive at, but a dynamic, lifelong journey marked by relentless curiosity, courageous humility, and an insatiable hunger for continual learning. When someone defiantly declares, "I already know everything," they are not only slamming the door shut on meaningful conversation, but also, and more tragically, barricading their own potential for growth. This phrase, though seemingly innocuous, is a subtle yet incredibly powerful barrier that actively prevents genuine understanding, authentic connection, and personal evolution. At its very core, this arrogant pronouncement often stems from a deep-seated insecurity cleverly disguised as unshakable confidence or outright arrogance. It can be a desperate defense mechanism, a fragile shield erected to protect a vulnerable ego from the perceived threat of being challenged or, heaven forbid, proven wrong. Psychologically, admitting ignorance or uncertainty is profoundly uncomfortable for many because it can feel like a terrifying loss of control, a diminishing of status, or an exposure of inadequacy. However, from the empowering Stoic perspective, courageously embracing what we don't know is an undeniable sign of profound strength, not a mark of weakness. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most revered and practical teachers, consistently emphasized the paramount importance of radical self-awareness and the humble acceptance of our own inherent limitations. He insightfully observed, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." For this poignant truth means that our fear of appearing ignorant often stems from a misplaced, ego-driven concern about how others perceive us, rather than a genuine pursuit of truth. An truly intelligent person understands, with unwavering clarity, that knowledge is not some fixed, finite prize to be triumphantly claimed, but an infinite, ongoing process of exploration and discovery. They approach every topic, every conversation, with a mindset brimming with curiosity, perpetually open to new information, diverse perspectives, and even challenging contradictions. They see learning as dynamic, fluid, and ever-evolving, not static, rigid, or complete. This enlightened attitude not only exponentially expands their own understanding of the world, but also fosters deeper, more meaningful connections with others because it actively invites dialogue, encourages collaboration, and values shared insight, rather than issuing a dismissive, conversation-ending decree. When you utter the words, "I already know everything," you risk profoundly alienating those around you. It implicitly, and often offensively, implies that others' insights, experiences, or perspectives are irrelevant, insignificant, or beneath your lofty consideration, which can be deeply hurtful, incredibly invalidating, and ultimately isolating. In any relationship, this arrogant attitude swiftly and surely kills trust, erodes mutual respect, and breeds resentment. In stark contrast, when you openly, courageously acknowledge that you don't possess all the answers, you instantly create a safe, inviting space for others to share honestly, contribute openly, and feel genuinely valued. This profound humility signals deep respect and builds stronger, more resilient, and far more authentic bonds. Stoicism passionately encourages us to be lifelong, dedicated students of life. Seneca, with his characteristic wisdom, wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." This profound injunction means constantly reflecting, courageously questioning, and being willing to revise your understanding of yourself and the world. It means valuing the messy, exhilarating process of discovery far more than the comforting, yet often illusory, feeling of certainty. It means holding your opinions lightly, with an open hand, and being perpetually ready to adapt, evolve, and change when reason, evidence, and new insights call for it. Furthermore, proclaiming, "I already know everything," is not just intellectually limiting and growth-stunting, it is also deeply emotionally isolating. It effectively cuts you off from the rich, vibrant tapestry of human experience and the collective wisdom that comes from embracing diverse viewpoints and engaging with different perspectives. It can also severely stunt creativity and cripple effective problem-solving because fresh ideas, innovative solutions, and constructive criticism are summarily dismissed before they even have a chance to be fully articulated, let alone explored. On a practical, day-to-day level, truly intelligent people consciously practice active, engaged listening. They ask insightful, open-ended questions, and they show genuine, palpable interest in others' thoughts, feelings, and experiences. They intuitively recognize that sometimes the most profound insights and game-changing ideas come from the most unexpected places and people. They use their words not to assert dominance, prove their superiority, or win an argument, but to invite collaboration, foster mutual understanding, and stimulate collective growth. So the next time you feel that familiar, ego-driven temptation to declare, "I already know everything about this," pause, take a breath, and critically consider the real, often hidden cost of those seemingly innocuous words. Instead, try saying something like, "I'm genuinely curious to hear your perspective on this," or, "That's a really interesting point. Could you tell me more about that?" These simple, yet profoundly powerful shifts in language swing open doors to new learning, deepen your understanding immeasurably, and significantly enrich all your relationships. In the end, true intelligence is not about arrogantly knowing it all. It's about courageously admitting you don't, and possessing the unwavering humility and insatiable curiosity to keep learning, keep growing, and keep evolving every single day. That's the kind of friend, the kind of colleague, the kind of human being everyone genuinely wants, needs, and deeply respects. Open-minded, endlessly curious, and possessing a wisdom that transcends mere facts and figures. Number 2, that's utterly impossible. An intelligent, forward-thinking friend never, ever utters the dream-killing phrase, "That's impossible," because these two words not only viciously slam the door on creativity, innovation, and all possibility, but also reflect a dangerously limiting mindset, deeply rooted in fear, negativity, and a tragically narrow perspective. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on inner resilience, teaches us that while external circumstances and daunting obstacles are often far beyond our direct control, our mindset, how we choose to respond, persevere, and adapt, is entirely, unequivocally within our sovereign power. Defiantly declaring something impossible is, in essence, projecting your own self-imposed limitations onto the vast canvas of reality, thereby callously denying the boundless potential for growth, transformative change, and groundbreaking breakthroughs that always exists. When someone definitively states, "That's impossible," they are, whether they realize it or not, effectively closing the door on effort, extinguishing the spark of innovation, and crushing the fragile flower of hope. This single phrase has the chilling power to kill dreams in their infancy, before they can even be courageously pursued or tentatively explored. Yet the annals of history are absolutely overflowing with countless, awe-inspiring examples where what was once universally deemed impossible was ultimately triumphantly achieved. Thanks to unwavering persistence, indomitable courage, a relentless refusal to accept easy defeat, and a belief in the power of the human spirit. Truly intelligent people intuitively recognize that possibility isn't about guaranteed success or effortless achievement. It's about unyielding persistence, creative problem-solving, and the courageous willingness to adapt, pivot, and learn from setbacks. Stoicism powerfully reminds us that failure, obstacles, and challenges are not the end of the road, but rather integral, illuminating parts of the path itself. Epictetus, with his characteristic clarity, asserted, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The wise, resilient person sees setbacks not as insurmountable, definitive walls, but as invaluable opportunities for learning, course correction, and strategic redirection. Saying, "That's impossible," often reveals far more about the speaker's internal mindset, their fears, and their limiting beliefs than it does about the actual objective reality of the situation. It can be a clear signal of a deep-seated fear of failure, a profound discomfort with uncertainty, or even a subtle attempt to maintain control by discouraging others. Rather than offering encouragement, support, or constructive input, it callously imposes limits on others' ambitions, their potential, and their aspirations. An intelligent, supportive friend, in stark contrast, offers unwavering support, skillfully reframes challenges as intriguing puzzles to be solved, and consistently encourages persistence in the face of difficulty. They laser focus on what can be done, what is possible, rather than dwelling on what seemingly can't. Moreover, this definitive, dream-crushing phrase can annihilate motivation, foster resentment, and severely damage relationships by callously invalidating others' cherished dreams, innovative ideas, or bold aspirations. When someone courageously shares a vision, a passion project, or a bold, audacious goal, responding with a dismissive, "That's impossible," can feel like a deep personal rejection, a profound lack of faith, or an utter dismissal of their worth. Stoicism, conversely, emphasizes empathy, respect for others' agency, and an appreciation for their efforts, regardless of the perceived likelihood of success. Intelligent, constructive communication involves acknowledging difficulties honestly and realistically, but always maintaining a spirit of possibility, optimism, and collaborative problem-solving. In practical, actionable terms, instead of resorting to the dead-end declaration, "That's impossible," an intelligent, supportive friend might say something like, "Wow, that sounds incredibly challenging. How can we approach this from a different angle?" Or, "I'm not entirely sure how that will work yet, but let's definitely explore some creative options together and see what we can come up with." This simple yet profound shift in language transforms the conversation from one of defeat, resignation, and negativity to one of collaboration, innovation, and shared exploration. Ultimately, consciously refusing to utter the words, "That's impossible," aligns perfectly with the core Stoic ideal of focusing relentlessly on what you can control: your effort, your attitude, your mindset, and your unwavering perseverance. It courageously invites bravery over fear, stimulates creativity over resignation, and nurtures hope over despair, not just for yourself, but for everyone you interact with. Number 3, you always, or you never. An intelligent, emotionally astute friend actively avoids wielding sweeping absolute generalizations like "you always" or "you never," because these definitive, often accusatory statements are not only glaringly inaccurate and intellectually lazy, but also incredibly destructive to trust, open communication, and the overall health of any relationship. Such phrases dangerously oversimplify complex, nuanced human behavior into rigid, black and white judgments that aggressively attack a person's core character rather than addressing specific, observable actions or behaviors. From a Stoic standpoint, resorting to these broad, often emotionally charged accusations reflects a significant failure to practice self-control, reasoned speech, and thoughtful communication, all of which are absolutely essential virtues for cultivating and maintaining harmony, understanding, and respect in our relationships. When someone heatedly declares, "You always ignore me when I'm talking," or "You never keep your promises, do you?" they are usually expressing deep frustration, disappointment, or hurt. However, the inflammatory words they choose often grossly exaggerate reality, unfairly paint the other person in an unchangeable, negative light, and effectively shut down any possibility of constructive dialogue. These blanket statements invariably provoke defensiveness, inflict emotional wounds, and make it virtually impossible to address and resolve the real underlying issue. Instead of fostering understanding, connection, and resolution, they erect formidable barriers, sow seeds of deep resentment, and almost inevitably escalate conflict. Stoicism powerfully teaches that our judgments, especially about others, should be firmly grounded in objective facts, sound reason, and compassionate understanding, not fueled by emotional exaggeration, unchecked assumptions, or past grievances. Epictetus passionately urged us to meticulously separate what is truly within our control, our own perceptions, interpretations, and reactions, from what is not, such as the complex inner worlds and behaviors of others. When we carelessly or angrily blanket someone's entire behavior with the definitive terms "always" or "never," we lose sight of the inherent nuance, the situational context, and the multifaceted complexity of human nature. We unfairly, and often cruelly, impose a simplistic, negative narrative that rarely, if ever, reflects the whole, unvarnished truth. Moreover, habitually using these accusatory phrases often reflects more about the speaker's own impatience, their emotional overwhelm, or their unmet needs, rather than an accurate, objective appraisal of the other person's character or intentions. The Stoics consistently remind us to cultivate patience, empathy, and a generous spirit, and, crucially, to rigorously question our own judgments and motivations before rushing to criticize or condemn others. Marcus Aurelius, with profound humility, wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" This powerful practice encourages profound humility, fosters self-awareness, and significantly reduces the destructive tendency to unfairly condemn or harshly judge others. In practical, everyday communication, An intelligent, mindful friend consciously replaces sweeping, accusatory generalizations like "you always" or "you never" with precise, fact-based, and behavior-specific language that focuses on particular actions and their tangible impact. For example, instead of angrily exclaiming, "You never listen to me," they might calmly and constructively say, "I felt unheard and a bit dismissed during our conversation yesterday when I was trying to explain my point about specific topic." This carefully chosen approach invites dialogue, encourages mutual problem-solving, and promotes understanding, rather than triggering immediate defensiveness and escalating conflict. By actively and consciously avoiding generalized accusations, intelligent, emotionally mature individuals foster an environment where concerns can be expressed honestly, openly, and respectfully, and where feedback can be received without immediate defensiveness. They embody the Stoic ideal of speaking with wisdom, temperance, and compassion, choosing words that heal, clarify, and connect, rather than words that wound, confuse, and divide. In all relationships, this kind of mindful, respectful communication builds deep, lasting trust and cultivates profound mutual respect. It encourages both parties to take responsibility for their actions, their words, and their impact on each other, and to actively work towards mutual understanding, empathy, and resolution. Over time, it strengthens the emotional resilience needed to navigate inevitable conflicts constructively and to grow together, rather than apart. Ultimately, the true power of language lies not just in what is said, but far more importantly, in how it is said, why it is said, and when it is said. Intelligent, emotionally attuned friends consciously use their words to create connection, foster understanding, and build bridges, not to create division, inflict pain, or win arguments. They intuitively know that precise, compassionate, and thoughtful speech is an indispensable tool for cultivating peace, fostering growth, and nurturing genuine, lasting friendship. All key principles deeply embedded in both Stoic philosophy and the art of meaningful human connection. Number 4. Indulging in gossip and spreading negative rumors. An intelligent, principled friend never, under any circumstances, engages in the toxic act of gossiping or the destructive habit of spreading negative rumors, because these behaviors are corrosive poisons to trust, respect, and the very fabric of any meaningful, authentic relationship. Gossip is often deceptively dismissed as harmless, idle chatter, or a bit of lighthearted fun, but in stark reality, it is a profound betrayal of human dignity, a cowardly act of character assassination, and an undeniable sign of moral weakness and intellectual laziness. From a Stoic perspective, our character, meticulously defined by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, is our most valuable, inalienable possession, far more important and enduring than fleeting social approval, momentary amusement, or a false, superficial sense of belonging. When we actively participate in gossip, we are, in effect, trading away our precious virtue, our integrity, and our self-respect for a cheap thrill, a temporary ego boost, or a misguided attempt to fit in. This inevitably compromises our integrity and diminishes our character. The Stoics powerfully taught that only what is truly within our direct control genuinely belongs to us, and our actions, our words, and our choices fall squarely, unequivocally, into that domain. We cannot control the behavior, reputation, or choices of others, but we can, and indeed must, absolutely control how we speak about them, especially in their absence. Engaging in gossip means consciously choosing to focus on, and often magnify, others' perceived faults, alleged misdeeds, or unfortunate circumstances, frequently exaggerating, distorting, or even fabricating facts, rather than diligently focusing on our own self-improvement, our personal growth, and the cultivation of our own virtues. This is the polar opposite of Stoic wisdom, which passionately calls for rigorous self-examination, unwavering self-discipline, and a relentless focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. Moreover, gossip fundamentally, and often irreparably, breaks down trust, which is the absolute, non-negotiable bedrock of any healthy, thriving relationship, be it friendship, family ties, romantic partnership, or professional community. When you gossip about someone behind their back, you implicitly and very clearly demonstrate that you may also talk about others, including the person you are currently gossiping with, in their absence. This insidious behavior plants poisonous seeds of suspicion, fosters an atmosphere of fear and insecurity, and makes true intimacy, genuine openness, and authentic connection virtually impossible. The Stoics deeply valued social harmony, fairness, and justice, recognizing that treating others with integrity and respect builds the essential foundation of a good, meaningful, and fulfilling life. On a psychological level, habitual gossiping often reveals deep-seated insecurity, a desperate desire for control or validation, or a misguided attempt to feel superior. By talking about others' perceived flaws, misfortunes, or mistakes, individuals may attempt to temporarily elevate themselves, gain social currency, or deflect attention from their own shortcomings. However, this strategy is ultimately hollow, superficial, and self-defeating. It might provide a fleeting, momentary satisfaction, but it inevitably damages one's self-respect and severely erodes the respect others have for them. Seneca wisely and profoundly observed, "It is a great thing to know how to endure praise and blame." The truly intelligent, emotionally secure friend understands that genuine strength, authentic self-worth, and lasting respect lie in cultivating inner virtue, not in tearing others down to momentarily feel superior or more accepted. Practically speaking, an intelligent, principled friend consciously, actively, and consistently refuses to participate in conversations that revolve around gossip, negative rumors, or character assassination. Instead, they skillfully and gracefully redirect the dialogue toward more constructive, positive, or meaningful topics. Or they simply and courageously choose to remain silent. This act often requires significant courage, as there can be immense social pressure to conform, to join in, and to participate in the collective negativity. But choosing silence, choosing kindness, or choosing to change the subject preserves one's moral compass, protects one's integrity, and can even powerfully inspire others to elevate their own behavior and reconsider their words. Additionally, consciously avoiding gossip significantly contributes to one's own emotional well-being and mental clarity. Dwelling on others' perceived faults, alleged scandals, or misfortunes inevitably fosters negativity, breeds distrust, cultivates anxiety, and pollutes one's own inner landscape. By relentlessly focusing on virtue, cultivating rational judgment, and practicing empathy, the Stoics believed we can attain and maintain profound tranquility, inner peace, and a clear conscience. An intelligent, emotionally mature friend actively strives to cultivate these invaluable qualities, knowing that a peaceful, untroubled mind is far more valuable and enduring than any momentary amusement gained at someone else's expense. Ultimately, refusing to gossip is a profound expression of respect. Respect for others, and equally importantly, respect for oneself. It reflects an unwavering commitment to integrity, a dedication to ethical conduct, and a desire to build relationships rooted in genuine trust, mutual goodwill, and authentic connection. The Stoic ideal is not to judge, criticize, or speak ill of others, but rather to consistently practice empathy, patience, understanding, and constructive communication. Intelligent, discerning friends know that the words they choose have immense power. They can either build bridges of connection or burn them to the ground. And so they speak with kindness, with wisdom, with integrity, and with a profound awareness of their impact. By consistently rising above the petty, destructive allure of gossip and negative rumors, they not only protect their own character and preserve their own peace of mind, but also actively contribute to creating a more virtuous, compassionate, respectful, and supportive community around them. This mindful, principled approach to communication is an incredibly powerful tool for fostering deep, lasting, and meaningful friendships, and for creating a life that is truly aligned with the noblest Stoic principles. Number 5. Making and breaking empty promises. An intelligent, honorable friend never casually utters empty promises or makes commitments they have no serious intention of keeping, because for them, words are not trivial, meaningless sounds, but powerful, binding commitments that directly reflect their character, their integrity, and their respect for others. In Stoic philosophy, integrity, the unwavering alignment of one's words and actions, is absolutely paramount. It is the very bedrock of trustworthiness, the foundation of self-respect, and the key to inner harmony. When promises are carelessly made and subsequently broken, they fracture not only the fragile bonds of relationships, but also deeply wound the speaker's own sense of honor, diminish their self-respect, and erode their credibility. Making a promise is, in essence, forging a sacred moral contract, both with oneself and with others. It signals that you value the relationship, the person, or the situation enough to consciously bind yourself to a future action, behavior, or commitment. However, when promises are made lightly, impulsively, or without the full, unwavering intention to fulfill them, they inevitably become a poisonous source of deep disappointment, bitter resentment, and the slow, painful erosion of trust. The Stoics powerfully remind us that while the opinions, goodwill, and reactions of others are ultimately external goods, valuable, certainly, yet ultimately outside our complete and direct control, our own virtue, which includes unwavering honesty, steadfast reliability, and the courage to keep our word, is entirely, unequivocally within our sovereign power. Empty promises often stem from a misguided desire to please others in the moment, a cowardly attempt to avoid immediate conflict or discomfort, or a superficial need to appear dependable, capable, or agreeable, even when one knows, deep down, that they cannot or will not deliver. This glaring dissonance between words and actions creates significant inner conflict, breeds anxiety, and steadily weakens one's moral center, leading to a diminished sense of self. Seneca, with his characteristic insight, emphasized that no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Similarly, consistently failing to keep promises diminishes our capacity to live courageously, authentically, and with genuine integrity. Truly intelligent, principled individuals understand the profound gravity and inherent responsibility of their commitments. They know, with unwavering certainty, that every promise made carries significant weight, and that breaking one is not just a minor slip-up or a casual oversight, but a serious breach of trust that can take far longer and infinitely more effort to repair than it did to break. As such, they speak with deliberate intention, thoughtful consideration, and utmost care, only making promises that they are genuinely confident they can, and fully intend to, fulfill. If unforeseen, unavoidable circumstances arise that genuinely prevent them from keeping a commitment, they communicate openly, honestly, and proactively, rather than leaving others in a state of frustrating uncertainty, painful disappointment, or damaging disillusionment. Stoicism teaches the profound value of simplicity, sincerity, and authenticity in speech. By consciously refraining from making empty, ill-considered promises, intelligent individuals actively practice the virtues of temperance, self-control, prudence, wise judgment, and foresight, all of which strengthen their character, deepen their relationships, and enhance their reputation. Their steadfast reliability becomes a solid, dependable foundation upon which others can confidently build, creating bonds rooted in mutual respect, genuine understanding, and unwavering trust. Moreover, consistently keeping promises fosters a deep sense of inner peace and personal integrity. It removes the heavy burden of guilt, alleviates the mental clutter of broken commitments, and silences the nagging voice of self-reproach. Living in harmony with one's word is a powerful form of self-discipline that aligns perfectly with the Stoic ideal of living according to nature, reason, and virtue. When promises are consistently honored, the mind remains tranquil, self-respect flourishes, and one's reputation as a person of unwavering integrity grows stronger and more resilient. In stark contrast, the habit of making empty promises signals a profound lack of respect for others' time, feelings, and trust, ultimately diminishing the value and credibility of communication itself. It effectively teaches others that your words cannot be trusted, encourages cynicism and skepticism, and makes genuine connection incredibly difficult. The intelligent, principled friend resolutely refuses to allow their speech, and by extension their character, to be cheapened, devalued, or compromised in this destructive way. In summary, the conscious avoidance of making empty promises is a powerful, tangible demonstration of profound respect for oneself, and equally importantly, respect for others. It embodies the core Stoic principles of unwavering honesty, personal responsibility, deliberate action, and living with integrity. Intelligent, discerning friends choose their words with meticulous care, ensuring that their promises consistently reflect genuine intention, unwavering commitment, and a deep understanding of their impact. In doing so, they cultivate profound trust, deepen authentic connection, and steadfastly maintain the unimpeachable integrity essential to living a virtuous, meaningful, and fulfilling life. Number 6. Drowning in excessive complaints. An intelligent, resilient friend never allows themselves to fall into the debilitating, energy-draining trap of excessive, habitual complaining, because they intuitively understand that persistent, unproductive griping about life's inevitable hardships, challenges, and setbacks only deepens a dangerous sense of helplessness, fosters a disempowering victim mentality, and actively erodes their own agency, all of which are direct, formidable obstacles to achieving true freedom, genuine personal growth, and lasting inner peace. From the empowering Stoic viewpoint, profound emotional resilience and unshakable tranquility come from focusing relentlessly, with unwavering discipline, on what lies squarely within our control: our own thoughts, our perceptions, our interpretations, and our chosen responses. External events, no matter how challenging, unfair, or painful they may seem, are ultimately beyond our full, direct command. Therefore, complaining incessantly and fruitlessly about them is not only utterly unproductive and a colossal waste of precious energy, but also profoundly self-defeating and spirit-crushing. Stoicism powerfully teaches us that the root cause of our suffering is often not the external event itself, but rather our judgment of it, our interpretation of it, and the story we tell ourselves about it. When we complain excessively, we are, in effect, reinforcing negative judgments, solidifying unhelpful mental patterns of dissatisfaction and resistance, and marinating our minds in toxicity. This pervasive internal resistance blinds us to potential opportunities for learning, adaptation, growth, and even unexpected blessings. The Stoics firmly believed that adversity, when approached with the right mindset, is absolutely essential in shaping and strengthening virtue. Without facing and overcoming challenges, the invaluable qualities of courage, patience, wisdom, and resilience cannot truly flourish. Therefore, instead of resorting to complaining, truly intelligent, resilient individuals face difficulties head-on with courageous acceptance, unwavering resolve, and a proactive, solution-oriented mindset. Moreover, excessive, chronic complaining can be incredibly socially corrosive and deeply draining to those around us. It sucks the energy, enthusiasm, and optimism out of any environment, making the atmosphere around the complainer feel heavy, oppressive, and profoundly discouraging. Intelligent, emotionally aware friends are acutely conscious of their energetic influence on others and consciously choose to be a source of calm, strength, constructive perspective, and uplifting energy. Their conversations naturally shift from merely lamenting problems and rehashing grievances to actively exploring potential solutions, brainstorming creative approaches, and fostering an atmosphere of hope, empowerment, and forward progress. It is critically important to emphasize that avoiding excessive complaints does not mean suppressing legitimate feelings, denying the reality of hardship, or pretending that everything is always perfect. The Stoics do not advocate for a cold, detached Stoic indifference or a complete emotional numbness. Rather, they champion a clear-eyed, courageous acknowledgement of difficulty combined with an intentional, conscious choice to focus on what can be influenced, what can be changed, and what can be learned. An intelligent, emotionally mature friend allows themselves to feel frustration, disappointment, sadness, or anger, but they quickly and skillfully channel these powerful emotions into purposeful action, thoughtful reflection, or constructive problem-solving, rather than allowing them to fester into unproductive, debilitating complaints. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned and practical Stoic philosophers, powerfully reminded himself daily to welcome whatever comes, be it joy or sorrow, because it is the natural order. This radical, courageous acceptance of reality as it is, not as we wish it to be, is the very cornerstone of profound emotional maturity and unshakable inner peace. Complaining, by stark contrast, is a futile attempt to resist what is natural, what is inevitable, or what has already occurred, thereby creating immense inner turmoil, needlessly draining vital energy, and keeping us stuck in a cycle of negativity and powerlessness. On a practical, actionable level, intelligent, resilient individuals consciously cultivate habits of mind that replace complaining with constructive reframing and proactive problem-solving. When faced with setbacks, disappointments, or challenges, they ask themselves empowering questions like, what invaluable lesson can I extract from this difficult experience? Or, how can I creatively turn this challenge into an unexpected opportunity for growth or contribution? This simple yet profound shift in mindset not only preserves their precious peace of mind and protects their vital energy, but also empowers them to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient through every experience, good or bad. Furthermore, by consciously reducing or eliminating complaints from their communication, intelligent, respected friends significantly strengthen their influence as leaders, role models, and sources of stability for others. People naturally gravitate towards, and are inspired by, those who consistently demonstrate calm, positive, solution-focused attitudes, especially during times of crisis, uncertainty, or adversity. This invaluable social capital builds deep trust, commands genuine respect, and fosters stronger, more authentic connections. In summary, excessive, habitual complaining is an undeniable sign of surrender to circumstances, a relinquishing of personal power, rather than a demonstration of mastery over the self. Intelligent, resilient friends decisively reject this surrender by courageously embracing core Stoic principles, relentlessly focusing on what they can control, courageously accepting what they cannot, and skillfully reframing difficulties as invaluable opportunities for growth, learning, and the strengthening of character. This empowering approach cultivates profound resilience, fosters unwavering emotional stability, and paves the way for a purposeful, fulfilling, and deeply meaningful life. Number 7. The reflexive excuse. It's not my fault. An intelligent, self-aware friend never reflexively utters the all-too-common phrase, "It's not my fault," without engaging in deep, honest, and courageous self-reflection first, because this seemingly simple, almost instinctive excuse often conceals a complex, tangled interplay of underlying fear, deep-seated insecurity, and a powerful avoidance of personal accountability. Stoic philosophy powerfully teaches that taking full, unreserved responsibility for our actions, our choices, and their ultimate outcomes is absolutely fundamental to genuine personal growth, profound emotional maturity, and the attainment of lasting inner peace. Deflecting blame onto others, external circumstances, or sheer bad luck may provide a fleeting, temporary sense of relief or momentarily shield a fragile ego, but it ultimately and inevitably impedes crucial learning, severely damages relationships, fosters deep inner turmoil, and keeps us trapped in a cycle of stagnation and repeated mistakes. The powerful, often unconscious impulse to defensively exclaim, "It's not my fault," frequently arises from a natural, very human desire to protect one's self-image, to maintain a perception of competence, and to avoid the uncomfortable, often painful feelings of shame, guilt, or inadequacy. Yet this very defense mechanism, when habitually employed, can quickly become a vicious, self-sabotaging cycle. By consistently refusing to own our mistakes, our misjudgments, or our contributions to negative outcomes, we remain trapped in a state of ignorance, prevent ourselves from learning invaluable lessons, and fail to improve our behavior, our skills, or our character. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic emperors and a profound thinker, consistently encouraged rigorous, unflinching self-examination, powerfully reminding us that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, obstacles, setbacks, and even outright failures are not to be denied, ignored, or blamed on others, but rather courageously embraced as invaluable opportunities for profound growth, deep learning, and transformative change. Stoicism makes a critical, life-altering distinction between what is truly within our direct control, our judgments, our decisions, our attitudes, our efforts, and our responses, and what is decidedly not, such as external events, the actions of other people, or the ultimate outcomes of many situations. When negative outcomes inevitably occur, as they will in any human life, the wise, self-aware person looks inward first, with honesty and courage, to identify their own contribution, their own role, however small or unintentional it may seem. This is not about engaging in harsh self-condemnation, unproductive guilt, or debilitating shame. Rather, it is about cultivating crystal-clear clarity, fostering radical self-honesty, and courageously taking ownership of one's part. By doing so, they actively cultivate the indispensable virtue of responsibility, which is absolutely central to living a life in accordance with reason, nature, and their highest potential. On the other hand, reflexively, defensively, and consistently saying, "It's not my fault," sows seeds of discord, breeds resentment, and systematically erodes trust in all relationships. When blame is constantly shifted externally, it signals a profound reluctance to be vulnerable, to be honest, or to admit imperfection, thereby making genuine connection, mutual respect, and authentic intimacy incredibly difficult, if not impossible. People naturally and wisely gravitate toward and deeply respect those who can openly admit their imperfections, courageously own their mistakes, and consistently demonstrate humility. These invaluable qualities build genuine, lasting connections. Conversely, habitual blame-shifting severely damages reputations, signals a significant lack of emotional intelligence, and reveals a profound lack of self-awareness. From a psychological standpoint, courageously accepting responsibility for our mistakes, errors, or shortcomings transforms failures from perceived threats to our ego into powerful, constructive feedback mechanisms. This growth-oriented mindset promotes profound resilience by reframing errors not as damning indictments of our character, but as invaluable lessons and opportunities for improvement. Epictetus, another foundational pillar of Stoicism, stated with profound simplicity, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Owning our mistakes, our missteps, and our contributions empowers us to respond with wisdom, to learn deeply from the experience, to make amends where necessary, and to actively avoid repeating similar errors in the future. In practice, intelligent, emotionally mature friends consciously cultivate a habit of deep introspection, thoughtful reflection, and carefully considered response. When confronted with criticism, setbacks, or failures, instead of reacting defensively or immediately looking for someone or something else to blame, they pause, breathe, and courageously consider crucial questions like, what role, however small, did I play in this situation unfolding as it did? What could I have done differently? What can I learn from this? How can I improve or act with more wisdom and integrity next time? This deliberate, courageous process fosters significant personal growth, diffuses potential conflicts by modeling maturity and accountability, and demonstrates profound openness and grace under pressure. Moreover, consistently embracing responsibility aligns perfectly with the Stoic ideal of living a virtuous life, one marked by unwavering honesty, profound courage, rigorous self-discipline, and a commitment to continuous improvement. It frees us from the exhausting, disempowering, and ultimately futile cycle of blame, victimhood, and resentment, replacing it with a profound sense of empowerment, agency, and inner peace. The wise, self-aware person understands that while they cannot control every external event or the actions of others, they always, without exception, retain complete control over their own character, their own choices, and their own responses. In conclusion, the truly intelligent, respected friend chooses never to dismiss their part in any outcome, positive or negative, with a flippant, defensive, or reflexive "It's not my fault." Instead, they courageously and consistently embrace accountability as a direct, empowering path to self-mastery, stronger relationships, and a more authentic, fulfilling life. By consciously owning their role in successes and failures alike, they embody the deepest, most transformative Stoic wisdom. True freedom comes from responsibility. True strength comes from humility, and true peace comes from living in unwavering harmony with oneself, with others, and with the world. To sum up, the words we choose hold immense, almost unimaginable power. They meticulously shape our relationships, profoundly influence how others perceive and respond to us, and ultimately, undeniably reflect the kind of person we are and are becoming. The 7 phrases we've ruthlessly exposed today aren't just about avoiding fleeting negativity. They're about consciously, diligently cultivating profound wisdom, courageous humility, and unshakable emotional strength, all deeply rooted in timeless Stoic philosophy. By decisively steering clear of these unwise, often destructive expressions, an intelligent, respected friend consistently builds deeper, more authentic connections, nurtures profound and lasting trust, and fosters a powerful mindset of continuous growth, unwavering resilience, and compassionate understanding. Remember, mindful, intentional communication is an ongoing practice, a lifelong journey, not a destination of perfect achievement. Every single time you consciously pause before speaking, every time you choose your words with deliberate intention, thoughtful kindness, and profound awareness, you're taking a significant, empowering step toward becoming the absolute best, most authentic version of yourself. If you found this video insightful, thought-provoking, or genuinely helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more empowering content, and ring the notification bell so you won't miss out on more deep dives into Stoic wisdom and actionable personal growth strategies. I'd be thrilled if you'd share your own thoughts, your personal experiences with these phrases, or any questions you might have in the comments below. I'd genuinely love to hear how you're actively applying Stoic principles to navigate and elevate your daily life. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep growing, keep reflecting, stay wise, and speak with power and purpose.